tangent. LINQPad 9 beta running on my Mac, and getting you can just see the blank screen. So one thing new, I'm gonna do. I did Command I think. All right. So Control I is not doing it. So on the Mac, it's Command I. And when you do Command I, you're gonna get this embedded window here that pops up in the middle of coding, and you can see like I can like code around it. So if I had something like I'm just gonna create like create an object here. Doesn't matter what it is. I just wanted to show a line. So, and now if I do Command I, it brings up the embedded chat experience. And so LINQPad has a bunch of AI settings you can use. Like all the major providers at this point are supported. So I just have mine connected directly to OpenAI right now. But if you go to AI and you can go to AI settings, pops up this window here. You can enable the AI features, enable code completion. I just saw this here right now. So I'm going to have to try this out here and see if this is doing like a Copilot chat completion. That might be kind of cool to see in here. I'm on the fence about the chat completions because at least as I've seen them in like in Copilot or Cursor, it just like stops my brain from thinking whenever the completions are going on. So I see a completion pop up and I'm like, oh, it completely distracts me. I can't actually get in any rhythm for coding myself. I just have to stop and see what the completion says, and then I accept it. And then what happens is I accept it, it has a bug, I forget about it, and then I have a hard time, and then I waste hours of time fighting with the chat completions. So I've largely I'm not a big fan of the chat completion, but I'll give it a try here, see how it's working, because I think that could be a really unique experience. And then ask for confirmations before sending completion data. So he's as far as I can tell, I don't know this as a fact, but as far as I can tell, this is just your machine making calls out to the various AI providers. There's no subscription that's required for this. So you just buy LINQPad Premium. With your LINQPad Premium license, you can use all the AI features here, but you have to add in your API key. So add AI provider. So he's got Open Router. So if you want to just get one subscription that lets you use all of the various providers, all the models, you can go Open Router. Love the concept. I think the trade-off you're making with Open Router is you're paying like a markup on your token, like you're paying a markup on the tokens, and then that's how they make their cut. So if you're okay with paying just a little bit more for tokens, the flexibility you get could be really well worth an extra couple of dollars on your when you go to fund your API key. But otherwise, if you don't want to do Open Router and you just want to go directly to the various models, you can go in here into like OpenAI, which is what I've done. I have an API key in here, but I'm not going to show you this. I won't show you my API key, but LINQPad seems to do a really good job at keeping all your private stuff private. So he's keeping all these things protected, encrypted, keeping them off of prying eyes. So OpenAI has like an identity verification thing that you might have to go through if you want to access it says here the deep reasoning model. So you'd have to go out to like platform.openai.com, go through their identity verification process, which when I saw that I kind of balked. I was like, I'm probably not going to do that right now. I don't care that much, but maybe you want to, maybe you've already done it and you'll get access to the premium models there. So yeah, so then if you configure this, then you can choose like what models are there. If they haven't added it in here already, like if OpenAI tomorrow releases a new model, you can go in here and add it manually. So you can put a row, you can do add, and you can put a row into here, put in the model name, the display name, and put some stuff in here if you want. So he seems to be doing a good job. Thank you, Joe, for doing a good job, giving us areas to configure, giving us stuff to configure. So you can do the completions, the chat, Anthropic, OpenAI, Open Router. Is there any other ones? Azure, OpenAI, if that's your thing, custom Anthropic. So there's also like I think it's Olama. So if you want to like self-host your models, as long as you have if you have any AI self-hosted that is doing the OpenAI compatible API or an Anthropic compatible endpoint, that'll work too. So you can keep all your data on your machine if that's your thing. I get it. Right, so this is the settings here. So you go put your API key in here. We're just going to use OpenAI. Yeah, so that's those settings. So we're going to go back here to the prompt. Now I already got some prompts dialed up here. So if you've ever seen, let's go figure this out here. Here's what we're going to build. Online GUID generator. And I think it's onlineguidgenerator.com, or it's just guidgenerator.com. Okay. Here is one of my favorite websites to emulate if I need to build a new project and I'm trying to learn some new technology. So if I was going to go do like a site in Rails for whatever reason, and I wanted to build just a little POC, a little hobby app in Rails to get an idea of what's going on there, I really like to recreate guidgenerator.com, because you can have a server involved, an API that's doing like the back end stuff. You can have a client. Your client can be a spa like React. It can be an MVC like Rails. This is not an endorsement of Rails, by the way. I have nothing against Rails, just not my cup of tea. Not a big fan of Ruby. That's primarily why. But either way, it was just an example I had. Don't to get too distracted. So I like to emulate online GUI generator when I want to learn a project. It's finite, it's simple, doesn't have to be too hard, but you can dial up the complexity if you want. You could add user logins. You could track the results of the GUI generation. So there's ways to like really simple idea, and you can scale up the complexity to learn more stuff about your project. That's the key to, I think, that's one of my primary keys to having a successful project and actually learning from it, is you have to be able to like rapidly iterate on the changes in there. Because if your project's too complex, you're going to spend too much time thinking, not enough time coding, and that's ungood. Like the word, that is ungood. So here's what we're building. GUI online. So this is why I call it online GUI generator, because it has online in the title. Online GUI generator, but it's just guidgenerator.com. We're going to try to recreate this interface, this functionality in LINQPad. And I've already got a prompt for us here. So it's going to say create a GUI to replicate. Now we got to change this, just guidgenerator.com. The program is to create GUID values. There are format options for uppercase, for lowercase, wrapped with curly braces, wrapped with double quotes, wrapped with single quotes, and they include or exclude dashes in the GUI, in the GUID value, in the GUID value. And there's an option for the amount of GUIDs to generate. So we want to, just like they have here, how many do you want? 1 to 1,000. All right, we're also gonna make that configurable. Each GUID value should have a button to copy it to the clipboard, because I don't want to go manually highlight stuff to copy it. I want a button to do that for me. So here's our prompt. We're going to go back to LINQPad. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to get rid of this here first. Command I, paste, enter. It's showing us the tokens that it's getting received. So it looks like the response is streaming back to the chat, but it's kind of blocking us until it gets the full thing. And now we've just got a big giant block of code. So let's check this out. I'm going to click accept all. Nothing's erroring. That's a good sign. And we're just going to try it out. So we're doing some vibing here. Okay, so does this work? All right, got something here. I drag it to the right. Okay, interesting. So so right now we just so like lowercase. So if I say lowercase, all right, that's lowercase. If I say uppercase, they went to uppercase. If I say uppercase and wrap with curly braces, now they're wrapped with curly braces. Wrap with single quotes. All right, cool. So this seems to be working. Include dashes. All right, cool. I unchecked that, so now we have dashes are missing. Let's see if this works. Copy. I'm going to come back to my prompt. Hey, copy paste worked. I copied 3A93, 3A93. Excelente. So we vibed our first. This is our first vibing experiment with LINQPad. So let me being someone who's seen enough LINQPad code here at to this point, let's take a couple. Let's do some things interesting. Let me draw your attention to some things that I find interesting. So LINQPad, many people don't know this. It ships with a whole bunch of 24 or so, 24 controls for you to build HTML interfaces. So we're using C# code here. All this, so you see some stuff here is like HTML, but we're largely working in C# here with classes. And when we run it, and it's turning all of our C# and it's building an HTML interface. I'm gonna see. Hopefully this works here. Okay, we're not getting that here. I was expecting it to say to see and inspect, because there's some interfaces that you can use it. It's actually creating those to HTML. So maybe I'm wrong on that one here. So maybe these ones here are not HTML based. So, okay. Disregard, right? Either way, these controls are coming out of, if I hover over var, LINQPad.controls.checkbox. I went on a tangent there, I'm sorry. So the checkbox, this is a control that comes from LINQPad. So I actually prepared a script over here already, and I actually vibe coded this script right here. So I said, hey, show me all of the controls that exist in the LINQPad.controls namespace. And I chose that because if I go hover over this type here, the LINQPad.controls.checkbox. So I want to find out what are all the other controls, because to be honest with you, as far as I know, like that's not fully documented. That's not fully documented anywhere. So we're going to go figure this out ourselves. Show me all the controls that exist in LINQPad.controls. And here we go on the right. This table here comes from dump, right? The infamous dump. Most people have heard of that. Yes, we got a button, a canvas, a checkbox, a data list box, a div, a field set, a file picker. I'm not going to read them all to you. I said 24. We actually got 27 controls that can be used in addition to other things here. This is not the only way to do it, but in addition to other things, like LINQPad just ships 24 controls that you can use in your code right away to build user interfaces. That's why at the very beginning of the stream I said LINQPad is a rapid application development tool. Look, if you're using it just for snippets, you're just scratching the surface of what is capable in here. If you're just using it to like query your database, like dude, those are really valid reasons to be in LINQPad, but you're just scratching the surface of its capabilities. LINQPad gives you a way to rapidly build software to solve your problems. Okay, cool. All right, I'm off my soapbox. So here's our app. So we got to vibe some enhancements for this. All right, so we got like a slider here that is clearly working, but I actually don't know how many. Like if I just, I don't know how many that was. 30 maybe, 30 GUIDs. So I would love to see how many. I would love to see a count as I slide this bar. What is the actual value? So I would love to see that. So again, I'm figuring this out with you. I don't know if this is going to work or not as we try to vibe some enhancements here, but I'm just going to go over to. So I showed you beginning. If I do Command I get this embedded window. I'm calling it the embedded window to do prompting. But once you can get into this AI chat window here as well. And I'm going to say for the slider control, we want to see the number beside it. All right, I'm just going to try that. Let's see how that. All right, so it's doing a bunch of magic. It's doing a bunch of prompting. So let's see. What did it give me to do here? Okay, I don't, all right, I thought it would give me some way to apply these. Interesting. So let's try this a different way. I don't like that. Is there something here like a slider? What is, so what are we seeing here in the results? So where do we see count? So span count, dump in line, count box, range control. So I want to see the number from count box printed on the screen that updates in real time to changes. Do Command Enter. All right, this is what I was expecting when I used the AI chat window. I was expecting it to give me some sort of ability to inline the changes that are going into there and apply them for me. This kind of gives me like this reminds me of using cursor with how we can accept the changes inline. So I'm just going to click accept. Now I'm going to rerun this. So to run your scripts in Mac, it's Command R. That's the keyboard shortcut. And now I see a 5 here, and as I scroll, nothing's changing. It doesn't. The text box updates whenever I let go. So now we're at 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect. All right, so now we have vibed the display of the range control. All right, so that's nice. All right, so what else I want to see here is I want to see some default values. Like, so clearly, like if I just come in here and I just run the script, like the GUIDs are generating by default with lowercase and dashes. So it's got the checkbox for include dashes checked, but not lowercase. So I would really like to see lowercase checked. I'm going to go highlight those because I don't want to think too much. I'm trying to turn my brain off and just kind of let the AI do the stuff. For the checkboxes that are the settings, appropriately check the boxes that are true for default. I don't even know if that makes sense to me, but we're going to see if the AI can handle it. Oh, cool. So it just figured out lowercase and it said check the true. Bam. So now lowercase is checked. Now technically, like lowercase or uppercase, like what happens if I check both of them? I get uppercase. So like technically, like these should be radio buttons. I would think, yeah, these would like want to be radio buttons. All right, and I'm not going to highlight them. Let's see what happens if I just prompt it here. The uppercase and lowercase settings should be radio buttons. Enter. Hello viewers, we got viewers on here. It's we're creeping up on the stream. If you got any questions, the chat should be open. I would love to see a message pop up in there. Say hello. Tell me if you got any questions. Tell me where I'm getting it wrong. Just say hi. Let me know what's going on. All right, so I just accepted the first one. I didn't even see what it was. I just said accept. Accept these ones here. It's doing something with radio, upper checked, lower checked. Oh, it's just capturing the settings. Okay, accept that. So that's good. So let's see. It turned my settings. Okay, so uppercase, lowercase. So does it work? Oh, right. Rad. Uppercase went to uppercase. Now lowercase goes to lowercase. Cool. So I'll tell you one way I thought about building LINQPad scripts is that maybe until about a year ago, right? So the bulk of my time doing work in LINQPad, I always tied like my code, like running the code had to produce the results. And if I wanted new results, I had to rerun the code. And that's fine, but sometimes it gets a little annoying. And what I want actually is like a user interface. So I've been thinking more about like how do I build user interfaces for some of the little programs and apps that I make. Okay, bringing it back to like LINQPad as a way, it's a rapid application development tool to build personal software. It's not like LINQPad's not great for building software used by a team because it's still kind of like, it's a little clunky to share the scripts. It takes, you got to be like way more intentional about it to like share your script. So it's not that it's impossible, but it does take more thought and effort to share these in a team environment. So that's something you got to take into account. So I'll give you an example of how I've thought about building scripts like versus like apps. At work, we have told you been in enterprise software. We have a gigantic enterprise. We have a gigantic SQL database, hundreds of tables, thousands of columns, and commonly I need to search through the database to find column names. You know, what table is a column name on? There's some metadata information with each of the columns and tables that are created. And I commonly need to search those. So normally what I'm doing is I'm like in SQL Server, Management Studio, and I'm like querying the database tables, querying the schema to try to find column names. And that's doable, but it's way more fun to build a GUI or build a tool in LINQPad to do that for me. And so rather than build a script that lets me search for the values, I build a GUI that lets me search for the values. So build a GUI that lets me search for the values. So I run the script one time, Then I get a GUI over here in the results window, and now I can search, I can do additional functionality, I can expand things, I can get samples of data from the table. So it allows me to stay sharp. I get to write more code. That's why we're in this field in the first place. We're all here because we like to write code at some point. Yeah, so it lets me write more code, keeps me sharp, gives me some new outlets to be creative with my problem solving. But that's how I'm thinking about building tools right now. So I like this approach of building GUIs in LINQPad. So we got the radio buttons here. If you got any options for what you want to see in the GUI generator, put it in the chat. I will give that a shot to try to add that in here. So let's go over and I'm going to show you something else here. Told you this is the second time I did walk through these the first time here just to make sure I had something interesting to show. So I used the same prompt, but let me show you, this was the second version of the prompt that I used. Let me show you what I got the first time. It was the same prompt over here, and I got this script instead. And I actually like this version here much better because it put some nice wrappers, like it gave me like this format options and this generation options, and I didn't change the prompt. So it's kind of funny how like I got this the first time, but the second time I didn't get it. That's kind of shows you how like non-deterministic these AI systems are. You run the same thing, the same input gives you different outputs, non-deterministic. Okay, so I had added as a follow-up GUID 4s versus GUID 7s. We'll go do that. We have the number of GUIDs here, right? The first time through it gave me a text box. Now I have a slider. I kind of like the text box. So maybe we should do that. We're going to add the GUID 7 and we're going to change the slider to a text box. And then we're going to put group, but we're going to put each of the control areas inside of a group box. So let's go give that a try. Let's see how that works. So I'm going to try the AI chat window again. Let me see how I get a new one. Start a new conversation. General chat about the current script. Agentic. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So convert the range control into a text box that accepts a number between 1 and 100. I kind of wish it was doing line breaks. It's kind of bleeding into the window when I have the panels too wide. All right, so got some new code here, just accept. I think part of vibe coding is not really caring about the code that you get. You care about the output. So now we're going to run this. All right, cool, it runs. Now I have count. Oh, but it still gave me the label. I don't need the label anymore. But it's working. So if I say generate, let's change to some 3. All right, cool, we got 3. Remove the label that's the counter for count. Yeah, count label, red, perfect. Excellent, that's gone. So I can't go below 1, so 1's the minimum. If I go to 99, press up, okay, cool. Upper bounds is 100, perfect. So need an option, radio, need a setting. We need a setting, radio button to generate standard traditional GUID values, as well as the GUID 7, as well as the GUID 7 values, newer in .NET. If anyone LINQPad ever sees this, would love to see rather than number of characters generated, number of tokens. Tokens are what seem to move the needles. Tokens are what seem to move the needle for the LLM. So I think if you're going to do characters, I think number of tokens would be interesting too. So we're going to accept. So we had 3 edits that it gave us. Run the script, and now we have standard traditional. Use my literal verbiage. So GUID version standard traditional version 7. So if I do standard traditional generate, So GUID 5 values are GUID standard. I think my other script here called them GUID 4. I don't know what the version number is for the old one, so I should call them like GUID 4. Create GUID 4. See, I just know the new ones are called GUID 7. What's the new GUID say? Just a new, initializes a new instance of the GUID structure. So these are globally unique IDs. So GUID, like they have no bearing on the order. So you get them, you just keep generating new ones, and they're completely unordered. They're random values. And in the new GUID 7, newer GUID 7, these are now random per se, but they are time ordered. So everyone that you generate is guaranteed to be, like, they're sortable now. It's going to be guaranteed to be like sorting latest, it's going to go to the bottom every time you generate a new one. So that's an advantage of the GUID 7. Did we actually get that? I would expect them to look a little different because, like, if I go over here to my other script and we do GUID 4, we get those, and then if we do GUID 7 here, see how they all have like the 0199B? This looks correct to me. How this is working over here in our newer script with GUID 7, that looks incorrect. Sorry, so I think there's a bug with the GUID 7 generation. Please review. You're right to suspect an issue. Oh, so look at this. The code said, hey, make sure you're at least in Windows version 10. I don't like that at all. So not how I would have wrote the code. It looks like it got rid of it now. So if I rerun the script, generate GUIDs, go to 7. Oh, look at that. Now we're getting the time ordered ones. So vibing's not perfect. If you don't know what you're doing, I think you're going to be in a world of hurt with vibing in the long term. But it's pretty good to get us productive right now, to get us moving. All right, so we have that. So we have GUID 7, standard traditional. How many we want to create. So now we want to go back. I like the view here of putting these in group boxes. Create group boxes for the various settings controls. Make it look nice. It's a lot of characters. Wish they were tokens. All right. Accept. All right, I hope that didn't break anything. All right, so now we have case, uppercase, lowercase, wrapping. I dig it. Look, it figured out the categories of settings that we had. So that's pretty slick. Count how many GUIDs. It got us a nice label there now. This is much improved. So generate the GUIDs. If I go to 6, I should get one more. Yeah, I dig it. So version 7. Oh, it's all working. This is sick. This is so cool. This is this gets me so excited. Something simple like this GUI generator, like not hard, not complex. But we were able to build this in, like, how long we've been working on this without my rambling? I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes, and I rambled. So if you're a developer, right, and you're writing code as part of your day-to-day job, I know you have a bunch of other stuff that you're dealing with that is not your program. You are managing configuration files. You are figuring out how to do other stuff on your system. You are just doing, Kelly knows what you're doing with PowerShell. You're doing deployments locally. You're figuring stuff out. Now you have an ability to go, like, vibe personal software and do it rapidly. You don't have to be like, if you were doing this in JavaScript, now you have to, like, have like a web page, and that's a pain. Like, you don't like doing some of this stuff, like, and you start doing this in like a web page or like with a web server. Now you're running into like weird permission issues with accessing your machine. Now you just have LINQPad. You can, like, the sky's the limit to start building more complex software in less time to solve your personal problems. I did years ago. I did an upgrade from like .NET 4.5 to .NET 4.7. We had hundreds and hundreds of project files, CS proj files, and so I did, believe it or not, I did that all in LINQPad to go, do like search the system for all of the CS projes, update the various settings that we needed to within the CSproj files and complete that, complete that upgrade. So like had I screwed it up or, we needed to like tweak it, if I did that by hand, like it's going to take forever. Like if I'm like, oh, I should have actually done, .NET 4.7.1 instead of .NET 4.7. Now I have to go tend to all that stuff again. But when you do it in a script or with automation, it's just a tweak to the code, and you can go touch however many hundreds of files you need to in a moment's notice. I ended up checking this script into our source control, so if someone came along later, they could figure out how to update those again, perform that update again. So LINQPad, really powerful for building personal software that's relevant just for you. You get the full power of .NET. You can build GUIs and rapidly build GUIs. You don't need WinForms is like the pinnacle of UI development, in my opinion. And I know other people feel that way. You talk to anyone who's been doing .NET long enough. Look, it was pretty solid doing WinForms because it was so easy to build a GUI, to drag buttons onto there, to drag grids and tables, text boxes, and wire things up. That was rapid application development. Your code sucked at the end of the day. Like it led you into patterns where you wrote like really hard to maintain code, but you can get stuff done pretty quickly. This is even better than that. Like you don't have to do anything with WinForms. Like LINQPad gives you these rad controls to go build GUIs in here. I think that's pretty sick. So if I do the, yeah, it's not letting me do that. Maybe, I don't know if it's just Windows or what, but okay, sorry, digress. So that's it. So that's our GUI generator. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up. I'm gonna go get onto my weekend, but I am pretty stoked about the AI controls here. Now that I see that there's completions, I'm going to be looking forward to doing the completions. Let's try that out here real quick. I'm here. We're here. AI settings. Enable automatic completion with C# scripts. Sure. No, I don't want a confirmation. Manual completion, automatic completion. Yeah, whatever, automatic. Okay. I don't know what I don't know what I just did. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what to expect. So if I just say, I'm trying to just see like if it's going to give us anything. Oh, look at that, completions. So it wants me to generate a new text box. Okay, get out of here. So if I said generate var, ooh, it's killing. The performance of this is like draining. Var field set equals count box field. Not sure that's what I wanted. New. I'm really just trying to see what it's going to generate. Press tab to insert. No, I don't want to reach it. All right. What happens if I do like a comma here? This is that even like possible? I don't know what happens if I go in here. I'm just trying to see what these completions are doing. It looks like it's putting up like a little like 3 dot symbol at some point. Maybe like it's doing that like when it's thinking. Return. Yeah, not sure. There might need to be some tweaks here on the completions. Not sure this one's ready for prime time yet. But LINQPad 9 is in beta, so I don't expect perfection here right now. I love the ingenuity. I love the innovation. I love bringing this rapid vibing capabilities into LINQPad.